Hello my friends and welcome. Russia again failed with their attempt to get more territories in Donetsk Oblast, close to Marinka. The legendary Magyar drone squadron was able to stop the Russian assault, eliminating 10 of the vehicles. So here we go with the video. By the way, my friends, the full video I may only publish on my Telegram channel. I'm unable to do it on this resource. Well, anyways, you can see that our guys were flying the FPV drones in a very close proximity to those tanks. The idea is to find the vulnerable spot and hit it with this shell. Russia changed their strategy, so they used the small groups, 3 or 4 military vehicles with some of the infantry on board. The video is not the great quality, but anyways, we may see the Russian assault attempt. So we have the tank on the front, we have their BTR, or we don't have the BTR any longer, because it was hit by the FPV drone. Nevertheless, somehow BTR continued its movement without the crew. So totally there were 3 of the attack attempts that they performed by the Russian army, and totally they lost 10 of the vehicles. For example, this is the first attempt. The tank is running and shooting forward. As you saw, they already lost one of the BTRs. This tank was hit to the aft part and continued movement, but later on was hit one more time by the FPV drone, and that totally demolished the tank. What is interesting that the remaining BMP, this is not the BTR but BMP with caterpillars, continued its movement even though it was the only remaining vehicle, so it is complete nonsense to continue this attack. So finally they reversed and went back, but also were kaboomed by the FPV drones, so drones really matter. Not a long time ago, the commander of the drone unit, Magyar, announced that they were able to collect the funds for 9,000 FPV drones. Their goal was to reach 20,000 drones, but still 9,000 is superb. The video itself is very thrilling, especially with Magyar comments. Hopefully I'll translate them to English and will publish on my Telegram channel like that. It seems like Russia doesn't care about their losses, they continue to move ahead. Nothing may stop them except the Ukrainian army and the Western-made weaponry that we use against the enemy. So this is one of the main regions where they try to assault, so far unsuccessfully. Also, if we go to the south over here near to Hulai Pole, they also send some of the reinforcements into this area, so they also tried to assault recently over here, but it was fiasco for them as usual. As for the Ukrainian advancement, we don't have the military map update for this day so far, so I'm still waiting for it. But we have the information that the Russian Legion, it's the opposition army to the current Russian regime, went to Belgorod, the Russian territory, for their mission. And they only published those photos. It is hard to say where they definitely are, so we expect more proofs from their mission. The Russian side partially confirms the assault from the Ukrainian territory. They say that they eliminated all of the threats as usual. Russia started to use their old T62 tanks as the mining equipment. What they do, they put inside lots of the anti-tank mines and send those tanks to the minefields. The tanks are harder to stop compared to the infantry vehicles. That is why usually they reach their destination, the minefields, and after a while they explode with a huge kaboom, eliminating many mines in this area. Also, sometimes Russia sends those tanks to Ukrainian positions. You may say that it's just the waste of the tank unit, but T62 is not equal to any kind of the modern tank or even older tanks on the battlefield, so it shouldn't be used as the tank. Usually it is used as the small artillery system by the Russians. Also sometimes they dig them to the ground and use like the small dot, and you can see the other way how they use them. Alright, this video I was able to find on the Russian channel. They draw the plan of the Ukrainian army, the possible plan as they think, the advancement of Ukrainians to the Russian-controlled territories. In Kherson region, and also Crimea. You may see that Ukraine may start to attack many of the Russian bases. By the way, Ukraine already started to do it, and there should be the landing operation of Ukrainian army. The big arrow goes to Tarhankut, the place where Russia lost the air defense systems, so they say that it is the main landing point. And also Ukraine will use some sort of the boats to attack the Russian Black Sea Marine Fleet, and that is how Ukraine may potentially occupy, as they say, Crimea. Well, interesting. Hopefully it will be like that. This image comes from Novoprokopivka. There are lots of the Russian vehicles that went on fire somehow. I don't know why it happens. There Ukraine still uses the artillery systems to avoid the losses in our infantry. The artillery is more effective compared to the Russian made. And later on more forces will go to Novoprokopivka to take it under control. It is the big milestone for Ukrainian army, and pretty much there is nothing more between Novoprokopivka and Tokmak, just small villages that Ukrainian army might take more or less easily compared to this one. Liberating Novoprokopivka means breaking through the Russian defense lines in this part of the front line. But what about the major Ukrainian strike, as it was announced 2 days ago by the Russian propaganda and partially from the Ukrainian resources? We also got that information. Well, the signs say that so far it is not happening, but we all expect it to happen soon. The Institute for the Study of War confirms that the Ukrainian army managed to break through the Russian main defense lines between Verbova and Novoprokopivka, but still in Novoprokopivka Ukrainian army is quite far to reach the goal, breaking through the Surovikin line. They're around 4 kilometers for that achievement, including the urban environment of this quite a big village. That is why the counteroffensive goes very slowly. About the Kabyms on the Russian territory, it was reported the one in Kerch. Well, actually it's not the Russian territory, they took it from Ukraine, occupying Crimea, but Ukraine has all the right to deoccupy it in any kind of manner, including this one. By the way, Ukrainian officials again remind the civilian population of Crimea that it's better to leave the place for good, because the Operation Liberation has already begun. Ukraine aims towards the Russian military bases, but there could be also some of the civilians on the way, so to avoid the casualties, please leave Crimea. Not a good news. Remember the rocket which hit the Ukrainian territory, the tractor and the trailer, causing 2 of the civilian casualties. Polish citizen. According to investigation, it was the Ukrainian S-300 missile. The investigation is final, they have the proofs for that. I was sure actually that it was the Russian missile, but definitely we should trust the official investigation. Ukraine tries to shut down the Russian cruise missiles, unfortunately with this tragic outcome. The Greenpeace organization did their own study about the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant topic. They concluded that the International Atomic Agency is out of the tools to control the situation over there. Wow, that's the discovery. Actually, we knew it before. Russia is not allowing the International Atomic Agency inspectors to many of the areas of the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, but mainly International Atomic Organization is silent about it. I guess because it is hard for them to admit that they are out of any tools to control the situation over there. Jens Stoltenberg today went to Kiev. He promised 2.4 billion euro help for Kiev, including more air defense systems. That's awesome. Here we have the graph of the total equipment losses for the Russian Federation and Ukraine. It is not for all of the time, but since the start of the Ukrainian counterattack operation. You may see that even in defense, Russia loses many more equipment compared to the Ukrainian army. Strangely, but they also lose many more aircraft. A very interesting graph. We're speaking about the logistics systems. Those are very important for successful military campaigns. As you see from the very beginning, Ukraine a little underestimated the Russian defense. We went all in with armored vehicles, with tanks, with infantry, and Russia cut those convoys, supply lines, so that is why it was not according to the plan. But later on, our general command changed the tactics. Now the offensive is slower than before, but that is how how we save our logistic systems and basically the lives of our soldiers. NATO will deploy more of the AWACS surveillance airplanes, this time in Lithuania. Since Russia put their nukes in Belarus, we need to understand what is happening out there. About the F16 training program for Ukrainian pilots, we know that it has been started already in Europe, and the United States of America also joined the program. For now, just with the English course, some of our pilots went to the United States of America. Some of our pilots went to the United States of America for this specific reason. Russia says that Serbia supplies some of the munition to the Ukrainian army. Moreover, Serbia tries to mask the origin of the weaponry by changing the numbers where it was produced. For example, those are the grenades for the automatic grenade thrower AGS-17. The shell was made in 2023 by the Serbian Sloboda company. Originally, here is not AA but SC, or how you call this letter. The AA modification only used for the Ukrainian ammunition that is produced in Serbia. The president of Kazakhstan said that he will support the sanctions against the Russian Federation and they will not resell any kind of the equipment to Russia, even though they're in the same military alliance and the same customs alliance with the Russian Federation, plus there are lots of the Russians now inside Kazakhstan. Well, it seems like Russia is losing their allies, but there are two more ugly allies for Russia. Let's speak about them, because there are some of the disturbing news coming from Iran. They may sell some of the missiles to the Russian Federation with a range of more than 300 kilometers. We are speaking about the Fateh 110 missiles and Zolfahar missiles. Those are the ballistic one like ATACMS or the Russian analog Iskander. The ballistic missiles are very hard to intercept, so Russia is looking for new solutions to target the Ukrainian infrastructure, especially power plants and power lines, this winter. The State Department of the United States also confirms the final step in negotiations between North Korea and Russia that will allow Russia to get old Soviet artillery shells plus the rocket munition for their old Soviet-made systems. Well, all of that means that this war may continue for quite a long time. Also, it depends on the elections that will take the place in Russia and also in the United States of America. The Ukrainian survival is really dependent on the military help that we have from our allies, and sometimes it's disturbing for me that some of the candidates in the United States of America say that they will cut all of the military supplies for Ukraine. Well, what can I say? If United States loses the interest and influence in Ukraine, Russia will take Ukraine under control and they will use Ukrainians for their next expansion. Ukrainians will fight for Russia like Chechens are now fighting in the Russian army. Before, they were fighting against Russians. What Russia is doing right now is the biggest threat for the Western democracies, so the United States of America, if they want to keep their influence in the world, should absolutely support Ukraine, otherwise they will also suffer. It is just my logic, but we'll see how it goes. According to this article from the political resource, Pentagon and the State Department of the United States are now disagree on weapons provided for Ukraine. They refer to one of the senior administration officials, and he says that the State Department looks for opportunities, but the Defense Department looks for threats. That's why it also takes the time to negotiate what weaponry should be supplied to Ukraine, I guess including ATACMS missiles. My friends, don't forget to press the like to this video, and also if you want to support my job, there will be some of the links available in the video description just below. Special thanks for my Patreon supporters and the sponsors of my YouTube channel. Guys, you are awesome. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.